All things that I am you. I am love. Creation to be free. I am free. See, I may not know the color of the sand or the color. I can tell you why the people sing, no matter what the weather brings. Cause he can fly. Oh, it's so kind. You know, behind the scenes, the world is seeing we may not be. See the sunlight, light is on, the soul gotta move. I can't fight no one from me. Ego won't ride out me one day. Love becomes the foolish that just blows the world away. We say freedom. Oh, freedom. Know that somehow seasons change. Love purple has a way of blessing us with better days. We've gotta heal. System for real. To stop us, we are. So here's the mind in the old just praising ourselves. You got there, footsteps, so you must never look away. Must spread freedom. Oh, freedom. face it until one day when he got ill, the doctor took too long to make it right. He lost his job and his precious food. All that is still was up his life. He said, where did I go wrong? And how can I go on? He didn't feel like a man. So I took his hand. Told him, thank God. I've been patiently waiting, Sabbath day approaching, weekly motivation, free from all our issues and the daily expectations. We've been waiting all week. Thank God for revelation, inspiration that we laced with. Ordinances that saints get, never will I turn away. On to fix these faces. Judah, Benji, from same color, different faces. We've been scattered around this earth in all kind of different places. Traces, buried ya, keep on fit these pages, searching through our history, uncover the matrix, destined to do better, rule a nation in the making, serve the King of all kings. You won't see us as a day, and it's a rest day, so we rested. Sabbath day, I'm stressless. Bliss us with that next dish, but don't test this. I'm trying to get these blessings, a fiend for this message. Just reference off the checklist. It's time to get this lesson. Peace. Just got off, so I hit the dope. Day of preparation, yeah, it's time to hit the stove. Got a couple of things that I'm looking for. Then it's on to the crew, step through the door like shalom. Happy Sabbath, face the east on 'em. All praises to the Lord, another week on them. Cause I've been battling Satan, can't sleep on him. So I'm in the spotlight, what's cracking? It's the Sabbath, time to feast on them. From the real Jew saying, see them songs, that's a Hebrew thing. See that Hebrew swing. See the fringes, that's that Hebrew bling. So I'ma cut the ceiling fan on and drop my shoulder, cause it's a Hebrew team. Yeah. One time for the prophets. The ones that's putting it work and they ain't worried about a profit. Yeah, this understanding you ain't stopping. Your doctor's getting body, gon' put them in a coffin. It's been a long week working for the man. Can't wait to get home so I can see the fam. About to punch the clock and dip like a side of ranch. It's Friday, it's going down like an avalanche. Stop by the corner store so I can cash my check. Then stop by the cleaner so my pants is pressed. Cause tomorrow we got camp and I'ma give them stress. Cry loud on the streets with the precepts. It's Friday, no Ice Cube. Walked in the crib, put the deacons on the tube. Wifey served me up with a plate of hot food. Before the sun went down, I was in the mood to keep the Sabbath with the joy and gladness, to be around my people and escape the madness. Yeah, cause my whole week been a mess. Now I'm in the spirit for the day of rest. It's Friday. Good morning, rise and shine, everybody, rise and shine. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you all. We have another exciting and very informative show for you all today. But first, a little in-house, little housekeeping. Please visit cocofresh.com for all of your 100% organic, all natural skincare products, healthcare products. We have tonics, we have lock products, we have fro products, we have things to make your skin clear up, we have menopause herbs, we have hormonal herbs, and we have a whole lot of pre and postpartum herbs for the mommies out there. Okay, so visit www.cocofresh.com. Okay, so this morning we have a very exciting show for you all. We have a lot of accomplishments being made in our nation, and I would like to share them all with you. But first, I would like to share a little bit of information. Now, as you all know, uh, we as a nation of people have lost our way. We lost our way with pretty much how we eat, how we think, how we love ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and importantly, how we birth our children. Okay. We have plenty of videos on Coco Fresh Ancient Herbal Therapy YouTube channel. Plenty videos about birth and the neglect within our nation, but now we want to focus on support and why it's so important. So a birthing village. When you think of a birthing village, what do you all think of? And please feel free to post in the chat as usual. All of my doulas that's present here, please raise your hand so when it's time for you to speak, I can easily just chime you in. But first, we have a few videos to watch. Y'all know the drill. Okay, so when you think of a birthing village, what do you think of? What do you think of? What comes to mind? And why do you think we need it? I would love to read your response in the chat. So, a birthing village, what do you think of when you hear the term a birthing village? A birthing village. So now with the video, yes, lots of support, have babies, absolutely. There's also, that's the main thing, lots of support, okay? So I'm gonna show a video of you all, but please y'all, just understand I'm trying to make a point. The videos that I'm going to be showing are people of other nations, other beliefs, other belief systems. A lot of them are heathens. They're all heathens, but some of them are us, you know. But we have our own belief system. We have our own traditions. We have our own ways, okay? So I'm just trying to show you how we all have, every nation has a support group. Every nation has a birthing system. And this is something that is very important for us to get back to. I'm going to show you a progression over time. Yes, a group of individuals who offer support aspect, who offer a different aspect of support catered to mom. That is the perfect way of describing it. And this is what we're going to watch. I'm just putting it out there. This is a disclaimer, okay? The videos that I'm about to show is not necessarily the views of Coco Fresh Ancient Herbal Therapy. I'm showing these videos to make a point, okay? All right, so be patient with me. Y'all know how I am with my, y'all know how I am with my tech. Let me see what just came up here. Okay, I think this might be the right one. Okay, great. Let me go to the library. I share my YouTube with my children, so okay, history, mm, mm, mm. Subscriptions, where is it? Okay. Okay, Eliza, you made me put them in my saved things anyway. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Yay. Okay, Eliza. Okay, we did it. You're saved, honey. Okay, just remember my disclaimer, y'all. But just look at the images. I want y'all to see something, okay?
For thousands of years, people have celebrated the power of women in birth in their art. Early people worship goddesses as well as gods, and carvings of goddesses giving birth can be seen as far back as the Ice Age of 20,000 years ago.
We're not paying attention to the
A stone sculpture
information.
from Mexico depicts the Aztec goddess of childbirth, Tlazolteotl, giving birth to the goddess of agriculture. She gives birth unassisted, squatting, with her great face drawn back into an open-mouthed grimace. Her ferocity tells us much about how the Aztecs saw the birthing woman. For all cultures, the birthing goddess is a figure of great strength and power, honoring the mysterious female powers of fertility and life-giving. But she can also teach us much about how women gave birth in the past. For example, the goddess in this carving supports herself in a squatting posture by holding onto a rope, as women have in many cultures around the world. Every woman has something of the goddess inside her, but mothers don't give birth alone. Women need assistance during labor, and most often get it from other women. This sculpture and the next, from ancient Cyprus, show a woman giving birth in an upright posture, with a helper behind her, supporting her body, and a midwife in front, with arms stretched out to receive the baby. These three figures, arranged in this close supportive pose, are seen again and again across time and cultures, so we might call this the classic birthing pose. In another Greek relief, we see one of the most beautiful depictions of birth in antiquity, this time with the mother squatting upon a birth stool, supported by two women helpers who hold her closely. Similar birth scenes are found on clay pots from Peru, made around 500 AD. Though separated much by time and space from the Greek and Egyptian examples, these pots show exactly the same classic pose of three figures: mother, helper, and receiver. Notice how the midwife is very small compared to the mother, who is clearly the most important person in the group. Another beautiful example of the classic pose is found on a carved ceremonial chair made by the Choke people of Africa. Even though the figures are elongated and stylized, we can clearly see the real birth the artist witnessed. Another classic pose is found in a sculpture from the Kraha people of the Amazon basin. These three women form an especially tight and supportive pose with their bodies as they work together, a technique still used today. The similarities found in the birth art produced by many different cultures, point strongly toward a traditional way of human birth, which has certain essential elements. The mother is in an upright posture, either sitting, standing, kneeling, or squatting. She is usually assisted by other women and is active and capable. And though people around the world recognize that labor is stressful, the mother is seen as a strong person, and her innate ability to give birth is respected.
Okay, okay. Okay. Okay, so as you all seen, in different cultures around the world, in different nations around the world, there's all the same thing. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, this should be closing down in a second. You all see the same thing. You see a mother, which is the most important person in the birth. And then you see a helper or a support person. And then you see the midwife. And the midwife is normally extremely small in the situation. She's extremely important, but she was also small in the situation. When I went to look for a midwife for my second child, I actually met this midwife in Brooklyn, and she was very great. She was her experience, her experience and her knowledge around birth was just extremely out of this world. She was phenomenal. She also told me, I don't do much. What I do is help the mom deliver her own baby. And that stuck with me for a long time. She said, I'm not there doing too much. If you want a doula, she said your doula or your husband would be the support person, rubbing your back, rubbing your tummy, rubbing your arms. She said, when I'm at a birth, it's like a party. A lot of people are there. A lot of loved ones are there supporting, it's all about the mom, getting whatever you need, making sure the mom is comfortable, making sure the baby comes into the world comfortable, making sure the father has support. She said, but I'm only there to catch the baby, and that's it. So we have to make sure we get back to these traditions, because I'm going to show you a progression of time of how we lost our way of in childbirth, okay? So we have our own traditions. We have our own way of life. We have our own heritage. We have our own beliefs that we must reclaim. And all of this is, there's a roadmap in the Bible that shows us. Shifra and Pua is a great example of who we are, but also who knows what the word doula means. Doulas do not answer the question. Everybody else, if please answer the question, what does a doula mean? So I'm trying to make a point to show you that we are all throughout the Bible, okay? A support person, yes, they are. They are. Anybody else? I'm looking for specific words of what a doula is. And I know y'all about to go on Google and look it up, but that's okay. What is a doula, y'all? What is a doula? A doula is definitely a support person, but I am looking for two specific words. And if you all do not know the specific words, if y'all don't want to be strong and wrong, a helper, the best assistant ever, which she is, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to wait for one more answer, and if it's not it, I'm going to just say it. Google says a trained companion. Yeah, that's the technical support, but a doula is a woman servant. It's a Greek word for woman servant. She's also everything that you all stated in the chat, okay? But what book talks about a woman servant all throughout the Bible? What books talks about a handmaiden all throughout the Bible? Okay, so a handmaiden is much more than somebody that's just going to get you clothes and, you know, prep your food, take care of your kids and laundry and stuff. This woman knew birthing practices and she knew birthing support. Okay, so a lot of times other nations would like to capitalize off of what has already been known and discussed traditionally in our way of life of who we are as a people, okay? So we must reclaim who we are. We must reclaim the handmaiding, the woman servant, the doulas, the midwives. We all tended to each other in all ways of life. We never did anything by ourselves, okay? So I'm going to show another video. I'm going to show another video to show the progression of how things changed from ancient times to now, okay? Hopefully it's still great. Okay. Okay, I think this is the right one.
In addition to birth art created by ancient and tribal people, many drawings of birth were made during the 1800s by anthropologists recording the ways of Native people in America. An American doctor, George Engelman, studied the birth postures of Native Americans and compared them with postures used by tribal people in other parts of the world. His book, Labor Among Primitive Peoples, published in 1882, included his finding that most people throughout the world gave birth in an upright posture, often using stakes, ropes, or bars for support. The Chippewa device is very similar to a birth bar developed recently for use in hospital births. Engelman found that even American pioneer women gave birth in upright postures. But unlike Native women, they were usually assisted by their husbands, friends, and sometimes by a doctor. They often sat on a chair, drawing on the old European tradition of birthing chairs. As a result of his study, Engelman came to believe that the civilized, flat-on-the-back posture for birth appeared to cause complications, which women in upright postures did not experience. While Engelman was studying birth practices in North America, British medical student Robert Felkin was doing the same in Central Africa. His paper on birth posture, published in 1884, included many drawings of African birth customs. Again, in Felkin's drawings, we see examples of the classic pose. In 1887, G.J. Witkowski published a major book on birth customs, A History of Childbirth of All the People. It contains over 1,000 illustrations, many showing examples of the classic pose. Witkowski found the Sioux tribe of North America practiced an interesting variation on the classic pose. The mother stood up, facing and hanging on to a strong man for support, while the midwife knelt in back to receive the baby. This northern Mexico mother holds a rope for support, while the helper behind presses on the top of the mother's uterus with a band. A birth scene from Japan shows a rather formal, modest setting with all the essential elements of the classic pose. Even today, traditional birth practices look very much the same as those recorded in the 19th century. A 1986 illustration from Nigeria shows the classic pose being used by rural African women. In America today, traditional birth postures have been revived. This illustration from the 1992 edition of Our Bodies Ourselves shows postures suggested for labor and delivery, which are identical to those used by ancient and tribal people.
Okay, so as you all can see, the different birth postures over time. Now, every mom is not going to go around life just knowing different birth postures. These are something that's taught. So the woman servant that has a passion for birth, that has a passion to help women in childbirth, help women become educated, pretty much help the whole family be educated about what is about to take place. Now, everybody's birthing story, everybody's birthing experience is going to be different. There's not too many that is exactly the same. But the most important thing that you have to understand is that you need to be educated, and doulas educate themselves on different postures that is the best for women, okay? Different postures that's the best to keep the heart rate of the baby up, different postures that keep the mom comfortable, and different postures to alleviate pain, and also to help push the baby out, okay? Um, Now, I'm not trying to take away from any C-section, a hospital birth, a birthing center birth, birthing at home, birthing with an epidural, birthing with drugs or medication. All of that is your experience, and all of that is your way of how you decide to do things. But what I do need to say is, the more education you have beforehand is what we need to get back to. Knowing your options, knowing what can happen, what cannot happen, knowing how something as simple as if a doctor says, hey, we're about to do this now, and the doula coming in saying, Mom, is that what you want to do? Remember what we learned throughout the 9 months, you know? So to get mom's head back in to what I was taught, okay? Um, so there was a group of us doulas or a group of us women that was all trained together, which it was a fantastic experience. We was trained for 3 days from 10 in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, Central Standard Time, okay? And we learned so much. We was taught by the great Nakia Michelle from Dona International, okay? And she has a wealth of knowledge. She's been doing doula work for over 20 years, and she was trained by the first Black woman to have a midwifery school, I believe in California, I'm not sure. So she was trained by her. So you would want, all the moms out there, you would want to be educated on what there is to come, especially if it's your first time having a baby, by a doula that has been trained, okay? My first certification for a doula was in postpartum, and I was trained by International Doula Institute, and they gave me strictly textbook knowledge. I have all these books about how to help a woman get through after she has a baby. But there's something different about being trained by somebody, by a trainer. Um, you get visuals, you get scenarios, you get just certain evidence-based information that you may not think of just by reading books and answering questions online. Okay, so I am very thankful of the training that I got, because it even educated me more on the certification that I already had as a postpartum doula. Okay, so now the last video that I'm going to show, and then we are going to get all the experiences of the doulas that was just trained recently. Okay, so there's one last video that I'm going to show, and this is really going to make you all understand why it's so important for us to create our birthing village. Okay.
Men began to deliver babies during the 1600s in Europe. At first, they were called only to very difficult cases and used instruments such as forceps to try to save a baby or mother. The requirements of modesty meant that sometimes the doctor had to work from under a sheet. The attendance of male doctors at births gradually increased, generating changes for birthing women. Mothers were asked to lie flat on their backs during labor, even for normal deliveries. Progressively, the birthing woman came to be seen as an object, and her body regarded as a machine to be studied and manipulated. For the first time in the history of birth art, we find illustrations that focus only on the genital area of the woman. During this same time, women continued to use the upright posture when birthing with midwives. The midwives and doctors at the time did not have a scientific understanding of how posture affects labor. We now know that lying flat on the back can cause lowered blood pressure, decreasing oxygen flow to the baby and uterus. This in turn can make labor longer, less efficient, and cause fetal distress. In addition to the physical effects of the flat on the back posture, there are important psychological and emotional effects. An illustration from 1822 shows the mother on her back and alone. She looks distressed and fearful, rather than strong and fierce like the goddesses of the past. A drawing from 1929 shows the lithotomy posture, which became the standard delivery position in Western obstetrics. The mother was placed with her back flat on a narrow raised delivery table, and her legs were tied into stirrups. Her whole body was masked off with drapes in a way that makes a normal birth seem like a surgical operation. The mother was usually unconscious, under the influence of anesthetics, ether, or twilight sleep, as we see in this 1930s American Medical Association film.
Everything is absolutely sterile to protect you and the baby. There will also be various sorts of anesthetics. For example, a continuous caudal anesthetic set, a saddle block anesthetic set, and there will be gas available. Some mothers, perhaps you, may want a certain kind of anesthetic. Feel free to ask for it, but by all means leave the decision in your doctor's hands.
General anesthesia increased the need for interventions like routine episiotomy and forceps. This depiction of the birthing woman as unconscious, dependent, and alone is quite different from the images we've seen throughout history. This new medical way of birth was standard procedure in American hospitals from the 1930s through the 50s and 60s. Women were told very little about what to expect when they went to the hospital.
So in preparation, you'll pack a bag to take along, toothbrush, makeup, a bed jacket perhaps, and so on. Useful things, and things to make you pretty.
During this same time, midwives were trained through health departments in some southern states. They took care of the lower income families, providing far simpler care.
Now let's see if this young knows how to eat. You remember what I told you the last time about nursing your baby right off? That'll make your wound drop. You won't lose so much blood. Yes, smart little booger. He's catching on to the idea right quick.
In Europe, midwives became part of the modern healthcare system, while in the United States, midwifery was discouraged and in many states outlawed. With the rise of the medical profession, more and more women were persuaded to deliver their babies in the hospital. Midwives delivered 50% of the babies born in 1910 and a handful in 1945.
Okay, y'all. Okay, so as you all can see, is that a word? Digression? That as you can see how we birthed from ancient times and how it is now. So at some point in the 1600s, men started to really focus on delivering babies. And the Western way of doing it was for you to go to a hospital like you're sick, put you in a wheelchair like you're sick, roll you to a whatever type of room, lay you on your back, hook you up like you're getting ready for surgery, and then try to deliver your baby. Now, laying on the back, that has a certain type of whatever to it's just a horrible experience in my opinion. In my opinion, with my story, I'm just kind of remembering everything that I could have done the first time I had a child. I was laid on my back. Everything that they said happened. My child's heart rate went down, went into fetal distress, and then here we go with the C-section. Now, I had 2 traumatic C-sections, and then I had 2 absolutely wonderful C-sections, okay? So I'm not taking away from anybody's experience at all, but I'm just trying to show you how it progressed into what it is now. So doulas are informed of, there's a lot of doulas that take all different types of methods of birthing. So she would be able to come to you to find out what's best for you and your family. Do you want to do it at home? Do you want to do it on a chair? Do you want to birth in a shower? Do you want to birth in a pool? These are different ways of birthing, and it's up to you. You might say, yes, I want to birth in a pool. Then that day comes, you get in the pool and you say, I want to get out the pool. Okay, but the doula is trained to be able to help you in whatever manner you want to give birth. And so is the midwife. So if you want to stand on top of your head, the midwife should be able to catch the baby while you're standing on top of your head. So as I said, a bunch of us went through a training and it was very intense. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of laughter. There was a lot of joy and just a whole lot of information that we are so proud to be able to give to you all. So I would like to have the first sister come on and talk about her experience in the training and what type of doula she is, where she is, and anything she would like to add. So the first person I'm going to start with is Sister Moselle. Okay, so we're going to allow Sister Moselle to talk.
And shalom, everyone. Sister Moselle with IUIC Mississippi. Training, like she said, it was intense. It was a lot of information poured into us over a couple of days. I definitely had to write a lot out to just, I don't even know the word, to detox my mind from it all. Like, it was just so much information. I am a birth doula, also in certain trainings to become postpartum. Also looking into pelvic floor, taking a course for that, and also with pregnancy and infant loss. And as far as like a doula, on Donna's page, it said it's emotional, physical, informational. And for me, it's more so the informational part that I more so, I guess, is my drive for it. Because I made a statement on my business page, and I said that, having a birth plan is more than just saying, hey, I'm going to the hospital to have a baby. Like, it's so much more into it. So many women, may get pushed into C-sections because they said the baby's heart rate is raising up. But if you don't know, hey, maybe if I change the position or do this or do that, then that could help the baby. But if you don't know a lot of this information leading up to it, then we're going to get pushed into, cutting our bodies when we don't have to, or just putting our bodies in danger. So my drive is just to provide all the information and the trainings that I can, so that every mom that I deal with, um, I'm able to remind her, hey, what did we learn? What have we gone through the past couple months? So she feels comfortable, the family feels comfortable, the husband feels comfortable, the birth team feels comfortable, and we're going into this empowered and not scared. And
Absolutely.
that's it.
Okay, so do you have a business name and a website or an email address?
Yes, my just kind of like my shirt. I created Breaking Births LLC. It's also the website www.breakingbirths.com, which is also my business email. And that just stands for breaking bad habits and empowering moms. As far as, it's time to just stop showing up, going to the doctors, and just being guinea pigs. Like, like you said, get back to the ancient and sacred practices that we had before. So that's where I got Breaking Births from. But yes, my website, also on Facebook and Instagram as well, Breaking Births.
Okay, can you please post your information in the chat for everybody?
What did you like for me to post in there?
Your information of how somebody could get in contact with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure getting to know you over the last 3 days in the capacity that we could get to know each other. But we have some more exciting things for you all ahead that I'm not at liberty to talk about as of yet. But thank you so much, Sister Moselle. It was a pleasure. Okay. Let me see how to. Okay, Sister Adira.
Shalom, shalom. How are you this morning?
Great, and yourself?
I'm doing great.
Okay, so how was your last 3 days? Well, it was Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. How was your experience taking the birth doula training course?
Ooh, first of all, it was way more intense than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be just instructional, by the book, with some real life experiences that we're going to be told. Even though we didn't get a chance to do anything because of COVID, hands-on a whole lot, other than, what we got to do. I learned so much about childbirth with a childbirth education class that I never knew. And I've had 4 children. I learned that we had choices. I learned that we had options. I learned that everything that the doctor says that you need to do may not be the best thing for you. I learned, even with the birth of my last son, I learned that sometimes doctors are just in a rush to get things done and move on to the next patient. So they offer you these interventions that will hurry you along, or they think will hurry you along in the pregnancy, and it leads to other interventions like, possibly an epidural, maybe forceps, maybe a vacuum extractor, or even a C-section, which in that case is what led to my very first C-section with my last child. I'd never had a C-section before, but because, I had high blood pressure, I was told that I was going to have to be induced by a certain time. We did the induction, and I got the epidural, and his heart rate went down, cord got wrapped around, emergency C-section. I had to be put to sleep. Don't remember any of that except for what happened before and after. And I learned through this course that had I just let my body do the work, that there was a high chance that I didn't even have to go through any of that, and my son either. I learned that, the practices that we use today are we are so, like you said earlier with the videos, we are so far removed from what our ancestors did, to allow our body to do the work. We rely so much these days on Western medicine to get us through that we don't even think about what our bodies can actually do. As far as me, I decided to become a doula because my first time having a doula was with this last birth. I'd heard of it before, but I never really knew what a doula did. When I researched it on my own and I decided to get a doula, I was so relieved because a lot of the questions that I had, she was able to answer me with not what she thought, but with evidence-based information that she had researched, that studies had been, done on. And I was comfortable with making the decision to tell my doctor, no, I don't want to do it this way. This is how I want to do it. And standing firm on my decision. That made me want to help more sisters to be able to have the birthing experience that they want and they deserve, to be able to stand firm on their decisions of knowing that what they decide to do according to their birthing decisions are the right things. And just in case things don't go the way that they plan, when you do a birth plan, doesn't mean that it's a failure. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes you have to take another route and course. So with that being said, that made me want to become a doula so that I could help people learn more about, childbirth, their bodies, what the bodies can do, their options, and to let them know that they're able to do the things that they want to do, and it's okay. We don't have to live by the stigma. My business name is Birthing a Nation Doula Services, LLC. I am Adira, House of Brother Jared from the Riverdale camp. I do travel. Don't laugh, sis. I do travel. Riverdale, not considered Atlanta. But I do travel. I will be doing some work in Louisiana and Alabama, all praises. So you can reach me on my Facebook page, which is Birthing a Nation Doula Services on Facebook. You can reach me on Twitter at Adira Baja or Adira the Doula. And I'm also Adira the Doula on Instagram. You can inbox me at any time. I try to reply within 24 hours. I do have 4 little ones in the Lord, so sometimes it's hard to get straight back. But, I'm offering birth plans, and I will start taking births at the beginning of next year. That'll give me time to get myself situated. I'm actually right now in the pregnancy infant loss program so that I can help, sisters if they do just happen to have a miscarriage or suffer a loss. I eventually want to take my postpartum under you. I spoke to you about that. As soon as you get yourself situated, I want to discuss that more. I want to become a breastfeeding and lactation specialist and a childbirth educator. Childbirth education specifically because that's where it all starts. Yes. You have to know your body. You have to know what your body can do. You have to know the interventions that you can have, and you have to know what dangers you're going to be, faced with if you do certain things just by following by what somebody else tells you. So that's why I wanted to become a doula. And if anybody just ever wanted to know, my 2 doulas that I had with my last birth was Shifra, the doula from Riverdale, and Katura from Riverdale, and they were both awesome.
All praises, all praises. Thank you so much for your input. Can you please put your information in the chat so people can write it down? Shifra, you are next. Thank you so much, Adira, for all of your words. It's definitely needed. Let me look for, where is she at? I just seen her. Shifra, you are next. Okay. There she goes. Shifra, you can unmute your mic. Okay.
Shalom, you all. Once again, I am Shifra the doula, located in Atlanta, Georgia, or Riverdale, if we must say it. I am a birth doula. I have been working in this birth field for about 1.5 years now, experiencing hospital birth, home birth, water birth, a few different aspects. And of course, I've taken the training with the rest of these ladies here with Nakia, and it was a dynamic and informational experience. Even with having previous experience as a doula, this definitely have opened me up to a world of more information that I very much so look forward to bringing into the birthing space for mothers to come. And the name of my business is For Mothers, and I will hope to bring the birthing practices of our foremothers and the information I've learned today and give that to mothers. And that is why I have chosen to go with the name For Mothers LLC. That is FOR Mothers LLC. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as Shipper the Doula on Facebook, or the business page For Mothers LLC. Instagram doula _For Mothers LLC as well. And I would love to doula it for you. Shalom.
All praises. Thank you so much, sis. It was a pleasure. This sister had the bright idea to start a chat for us so we could all share notes and just kind of debrief and detox after each training, because y'all, it was very, very intense. Shifra, please put your information in the chat for everybody. Okay, Sister Selah.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so
Please tell us about your experience in the last 3 days of training, what you learned, what you loved, what you hated, and your business, and why did you become a doula?
the day training was super intense. It was a lot to wrap my head around. There was so much that I knew, but then there was a lot that I didn't know. Currently, right now, expecting number 3 for my Lord's house. It was kind of just like an eye-opener for myself on the doula side and on the mother side. Stuff that a lot of times we don't take seriously, like postpartum, to say. We don't think that it's that important. Just because we feel energized doesn't mean that we're ready to get back and just jump into everything. So it was a lot. It was very emotional. That part was very emotional. Going through traumatic experiences, when she touched on that, that was very emotional. It was a lot to take in. I was like going over it with my Lord, and he was looking at me like, I'm not ready to hear all this. And I was like, okay. But it was very deep. It was very intense, but it was also a very important conversation to have, because we need this. We need more of this. So all praises for that. I decided to become a doula because with my first child, I didn't have a doula. There was a lot of things that were going on that I didn't understand, that I did learn in the training, that if I had a doula, I would have understood better. And then with my second child, I did have a doula, even though the outcome of that was different. Sis Tabitha was my doula. But my son, we already knew that he possibly wasn't going to make it. So she was my pregnancy and infant loss doula. It was so necessary. It was so important. It was one thing. She was so beneficial for not just me, but for my Lord as well. Like when we found out we were pregnant this time, he was like, okay, call Sister Tabitha. We need a doula. It made me feel strong. It made him feel strong. And the love and support, not even just saying, just being there, just having someone there to comfort and just like, okay, you're making the right decision for you. That's enough. And that was what made me want to be a doula. And I was like, that's what I want to be for my sisters as well. We need more of that. We don't have enough of that. Right now, I currently don't have a business name yet. I'm still working out the kinks. But Lord's will, I'll have that all together soon. So we'll see.
All praises. Thank you so much for sharing.
No problem.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Sister Anna, will you be speaking?
Really? Shalom, sis.
Shalom. This is the sister I was talking about. She's she's in a whole nother profession and decided, look, let me try to help my sisters in a certain way. And she decided to become a doula, and I'm just proud of her. So can you just talk about your experience with the training and what you loved, what you hated, and what direction you'll be going in?
Sure, sis. It was funny because I'm sitting here with Sister Elizabeth right now, and she said, "Sis, you gonna be next." I was like, "Nah, I didn't respond in time."
I know.
So she in the spirit, right? She in the spirit. But for me, yeah, I'm a bookkeeper. I've been doing that for 20 years. Prior to that, I actually worked 20 years in the medical field doing gerontology, the study of aging. And back then, I always said I'll probably start taking care of babies one day, because old people, they die, and what I'm saying, I want life. But as I researched my bloodline, my father's lineage, his mother was a doula, which I had no idea. Her mother was a doula. All her sisters was doulas. So I'm looking at birth certificates, and I found it like, wow, that's something I want to do, and they did it, So it's like, for real. But as far as the class, it was emotional for me. I birthed 5 children. Even now, it was stuff I just didn't know, but the stuff that I did find out, I would have did things differently through my births, through my pregnancy. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to taking more classes and learning
All
more
praises.
as much as I can. Right now, I'm a birth doula. Right, right now, I'm a birth doula, but I'm kind of leaning towards postpartum. Um, yeah, so yeah, I'm not really sure, but I will be also starting school in the fall for sonography. So I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna kind of just go with where the Most High is kind of leading me, and we'll see what happens.
All praises. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. Sayla, if you have information that you want to put in the chat, please do. And Anna, if you want to put your email address or anything in the chat, please do. But
I'm sorry, sis. I chose a name, and it's really simple. It's just called Doula Services LLC. And I'm formulating things now. That's actually legal, but I don't have any Facebook or Twitter, anything like that yet. I'm a business mind, so I'm trying to formulate everything before I kind of throw it out there. But I did get that name, and it's legal. It's ready to go. But yeah, anything else, I'll just post it, or But thank you for letting me speak, sis. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sis. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, Sister Yafa?
Shalom, sis. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Shalom.
Shalom. Can you please let us know about your 3 days of training? How did you love it? Did you hate it? Some life-changing information that you've learned. Your business, if you started one, which your area or your specialty that you will be going into, why you chose to become a doula and all that good stuff.
Yes, ma'am. That class was amazing, informative. Some I knew, some I did not. First of all, from the house of Haziah in Houston, Texas. Um, the class was amazing. It was stuff that I, like I said, did not know. And I've learned a lot with those 3 days. It wasn't emotional for me. However, it was very informative. Um, and the way I got into doula was literally I had no clue, 1,000% what a doula was until 3 weeks ago. And it's amazing because a sister posted Nakia's info on one of the Telegram groups that I'm in. And I said, I have no clue what that is. What is a doula? So I decided to look it up. And of course, I've been my whole life, I'm 41, and I've been in and out of jobs my whole life, out the truth and in the truth. So I get in the truth, and it's only been 5 years. And so I've been praying for 5 years. Most High, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? I've tried different businesses, tried different jobs. Nothing worked out. Literally nothing, just nothing was stable. And so I'm like, I need something for my Lord's house. I need to do something for my sisters. I need to put my brick in more, like where do I fit in? So finally, like I say, just one day, all out the blue, 5 years later, I get the message about the doula class, and I look it up, and literally when I signed up, the hairs on my skin just stood up. That's when I knew, this is me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm excited, literally so excited. I couldn't sleep for the past 3-4 weeks. I'm like, what's going on? But just excited to know that I got a place in the body. I got a place where I can actually help my sisters. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Then I had some sisters telling me, you look like a doula. I'm like, well, heck, why you ain't tell me that before? I would have been looked this up. But never knew this thing. And it's like so amazing to be able to help my sisters. And so with Miss Nakia, oh man, I appreciate her. She's amazing. Literally a wealth of knowledge from beginning to end. And it was amazing. I'm excited. My Lord wakes up every morning. Shalom, doula. And I'm like, okay, well, all praises. And my daughter in Ohio, she actually hashtagged me one day, kind of brought tears to my eyes. She said, my mama is my doula. I'm like, oh, I'm so just so shocked. Like, I've got a place. I got something I can do. Finally in my life, I feel like I'm in the right place. So all praises. Thank you, sis, for having us on the show. So cool.
All praises. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. Before we bring on the last but definitely not least, is there any other doula on here besides Tabitha that went through the training? Princess Shy, she could not speak. So, okay, last but not least, we'll have Sister Tabitha speak. She actually, Sister, okay, we're gonna do Sister Katora first, and then we'll have Sister Tabitha come on. Give me 1 second while I find Sister Katora. 1 second, y'all. There has to be a better way of doing this. Can you raise your hand, Sister Katora? Are you able to raise your hand? Because for some reason, I'm not seeing you. Katora, did you raise your hand? Oh, yep, there she goes. Shalom, Sister Katora. Shalom.
Shalom. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you again, Yoella, for having us all on here and creating this doula community within our nation of Israel. So actually, if anybody who was in the group, you know that I have been struggling with coming up with my name. But something finally came to me, y'all. And I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Chosen Births, labor and delivery doula services, where mamas are empowered to birth the way we were chosen. And that's emphasis on Deuteronomy 7 and 6. It just kept popping up in my head. When we like the video we just watched and everything that we learned in the doula training, alongside the maternal mortality rates, our people don't know how special we are and how the Most High has truly created us to birth these babies, specifically these prophets and these princesses. So my drive and my passion comes in empowering and educating our women to be able to have that birth that they want to have and be able to make educated decisions in the birthing process. The training was awesome. It was long, but in a great way. It was bittersweet when it was over. I was like, dang, so there's no more we can learn. We got to get kicked out the classroom for real. That's it. But it was definitely emotional. I have 2 babies myself, and it made me think of my very first experience. Both my experiences were polar opposites. I did have a doula both times. However, the first doula, how do I say this? I just didn't know what to expect from a doula at that time. And my second doula was amazing. It was Shifra. But my first baby was born in a hospital, and like you were saying, they lay you on your back, you come in with this birth plan, but you don't necessarily know all of your rights, even though you know, okay, I know I don't want to do this, I know I don't want to do that, I know I'm not supposed to lay on my back, but then everybody's making you lay on your back, and then it's a gang of people telling you that your baby's heart rate is dropping, and then it's a gang of people saying, okay, you got to get this baby out or you're gonna have to have a C-section. And it's very emotional, and it can be a bullying situation. I felt a little bullied, I'm not gonna lie. And I was able, by the grace of God, to push my baby out vaginally. As soon as they said that word C-section, my body did something. It just went in a shock, and I went from 7 to 10 centimeters in 15 minutes and pushed her out. But my second childbirth was a home water birth. And I definitely want to encourage that experience for anyone who wants it. But like Nakia mentioned, I can't remember the exact percentage, but most births are hospital births. And a home birth is going to be expensive. Everybody doesn't have the resources for that. So I want to be able to be there for sisters and educate them and empower them through having a 94%. Thank you, Shifra. Having a successful hospital birth. That I feel like I said a lot.
It's perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please post your information in the chat. And make sure you post your information, not just to the panelists, but to the attendees. It's mainly for the attendees. So make sure it says that you're posting to the attendees. And thank you, Sister Katora, for sharing your experience with us. Okay, so last but not least, we are going to have Tabby speak. And she actually took the training, I believe, 2 years ago, and she's been studying diligently for the past 2 years, and she has been helping us get through the course, giving us so much more information, and just being that person there to tell us what to expect and stuff like that. So Tabitha, she took the training again with us. So can you tell us about this training, this last training, compared to your first training, and why you're doing this, what type of doula you are, what direction you're going in, your business, and all that as well, all that you want to share.
Thank you for having me on, Yoella. Good morning, everybody. My name is Tabitha, Tabby for short. I don't know who gave me that nickname, but it's been working for me. So like Yoella said, I have been a birth and bereavement doula for over a year. I took Nakia's training in person at March of 2019. And comparing the two, I would say that y'all got a lot more information. Y'all definitely got a lot more, I want to say y'all went definitely in depth with a lot more things than we did. It's just hold out for that personal comfort techniques and all that, because that one right there was, that's the only thing that y'all were missing to do, was just the in-person aspects of it. But really, the takeaway from the training that y'all had versus the training that I did over a year ago, either way it goes, everyone is definitely equipped and prepared to service our women moving forward. A little bit about me. I am a part of a doula collective here in Dallas-Fort Worth, the first all-Black doula collective out here, by the name of Birth in Color, founded by Araja. I handle the PAIL, pregnancy and infant loss portion of it, and so glad to have more and more people taking the PAIL classes, because you can't, pretty much no one expects to go through a loss, so it's definitely a good arsenal to have when supporting these mothers. I decided to become a doula because I have 3 births before, all of them C-sections. My first birth, of course, no one is ever saying going in, I'm going to get a C-section. I never knew what a doula was. I did a lot of Googling and self-taught, so I thought I was all prepared. I had my little ratchet birth plan and all that. It went out the window because along with it, I didn't have the confidence and I didn't have the proper support group within my labor and delivery room. So just interventions on top of interventions, and my first one that led to a C-section. Second go round, myself personally, I went through the antepartum depression, which turned into postpartum depression. Again, had I had a doula, had I had someone that had that valuable information to help me through it, it definitely would have went a different way. Moving forward to my third pregnancy and my last pregnancy, that in self, going through the depression stages again, and then having almost a near death experience, I knew something had to change. I didn't know what at that time. Fast forward to, it was around 2018. A group of us were sitting in the church after Sabbath, speaking about births, and it was brought to us that do you want to be a doula? I was like, what is that? I never heard of it. Then moving forward to the training in 2019, and then here I am today. It's definitely a calling. It's definitely not for the weak, but it's definitely very important work to do. So I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, Miss Yoella.
Can you just speak to the just real briefly about the mortality rate amongst us women in the hospitals, and it's pretty much just because of a lack of education, getting bullied, like Sister Katura said, and things like that. Just real briefly.
Oh, yes, ma'am, absolutely. So, a lot of people don't know, especially with it not being in the mainstream media and all that, but these numbers can easily be looked up on the CDC. They could be looked up on many websites and that, but it's really unknown that 42 women out of 100,000 women will, are expected to die in childbirth. And those 42 women are Black women. 11.4 mothers of 1,000, let me say Black mothers of 1,000 mothers are going to experience either a prenatal death or a stillbirth. This again is not talked about. And the reasons for this is because racial disparities within the hospital setting. These racial disparities include myths that we as Black women, we don't feel pain because our skin is blacker, where it's thicker, and we're not as fragile as our white counterparts, which is with new studies and that coming out is something that's completely false. And I'm doing a lot of evidence-based training now, and the training that I'm currently in and studying in has been definitely mind-blowing, given the racial disparities that I spoke of earlier. The fact that our grandmothers and great-grandmothers suffered through racial injustice, also had post-traumatic stress. This affects all the way up until their great-great-grandchildren. It affects several generations. So if you have several generations of women that's been affected from what their great-great-grandmother went through, it is definitely explained how we as Black and Hispanic women go through the things that we go through, why we have this mindset that we have, why we have to feel like we have to be independent and strong and pretty much not a daughter of Sarah. So soaking all this training in, it's definitely been amazing to see, and it definitely equips me better on handling women that I encounter later on. It's definitely shift my, sorry, let me read this. It has definitely shifted my way of interacting with my clients. Now what I do with my clients, I prepare them, I give them scenarios of what they could possibly do in the birth setting. And in the pregnancy stage, before we get to labor and delivery, I help them process all those feelings. So by that time, especially with COVID, with it being up in the air that if I could be in there or not, they've had time to process these feelings. They're feeling more confident. So once they get up in there, whether I'm in there or not, they've already been through it. Not so to say been through it, but they're prepared for it.
Okay, someone just asked a question about the fear. I'm not sure, sis, the fear of us going in to childbirth or using a doula, how that helps to not have the fear. Sis, can you reword your question? But Tabby, while she's rewording the question, can you speak to that? Laboring at home. So sisters are a little fearful of laboring at home. Just real quick, for me, I know I would be more comfortable probably having a midwife and doula at a hospital, but it's really more for the mom, you know, to know her body and where she feel comfortable at and being empowered and being supported. But you know, it's not a thing where everybody's going to be scared to give at home, to fear at home. It's really more about faith. But Tabitha, can you speak about the fear of laboring at home?
So this comes in when you are pretty much you've gotten your doula or your support person down. The fear that a lot of people have when laboring at home is they're not going to make it to the hospital in time, or they're not going to make it to the birth center in time, or they're going to be one of these stories that's on the nightly news saying that baby was born on 6:35 heading to 75, and that's what a lot of fears are. Also a lot of fears that our women have right now are the fear of death, especially with all these stories going on and not being validated. um, So the best ways to combat that fear, and that is first and foremost having trust within yourself, having trust within your body, knowing that at the end of the day, your body knows what to do. We definitely have this aspect has definitely been taken away from us, especially since men were introduced to the birthing room in the 16 and 1700s. The studies on that, how simply the presence of a man coming into a birthing room, it literally digresses your cervical change. It's been studies on that to where um, you know, a lot of things that we hear is women progressing to 10 centimeters. The fact that a man came into the room, you could go all the way back down to 3 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have strangers in the room. Of course, strangers in the room affects the cortisol levels in a woman's makeup. The cortisol levels affect your oxytocins. Your oxytocins is what helping you relax your body and get you to that euphoria of, not delivering. I don't want to say delivering, of birthing your baby. Um, these cortisol are stress hormones that uh, deeply affect that. That's why a lot of women today they don't have that FER, which is the fetal ejection reflex. That they don't know what that is. When you tell women that you don't have to necessarily push, they're like, "What do you mean?" And you start explaining, what our body is naturally made to do. They're like, "How can I get that?" It's definitely mind and body coming in one and setting this fear aside. A lot of the things that I do for women, especially women within our congregation, is go over scriptures with them, of course, with their Lord approving. These scriptures definitely are Joshua 1 and 9. It's many others. My brain is just rambling in that right now. And then also giving birth affirmations. Birth affirmations and speaking things into existence is definitely key to preparing your mind for birth, because this is not just some walk in the park. This is a whole marathon that you have to do. You can't be laying on your back. Number one, this is not a little fun trip to the hospital and all that a lot of women think it is. A 3-day vacation. I've heard from some women. This is real. This is serious. This is work. And we definitely stepped away from that, given the fact that the majority of our births are in hospitals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Another good scripture for us repentant folks is 1 Timothy 2:15. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith. If they continue in faith. If they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. Okay, so make sure we are continuing in that faith. Thank you so much, Tabby. Can you please also put your information in the chat to the attendees as well? Just having information can also empower your birth. Just knowing your options in the hospital without being in the hospital, being in a birthing center. Please post stats. Okay, so someone, can you also please post the stats on the stillborn and the death rates in the chat as well? So my first birth experience was very traumatic. I'm not going to talk about it again, but I had been going to births since I was 19, going to different births, helping people with their births with no knowledge of of knowing what a doula was. When it was time for me to have a birth, all of that knowledge went out of my head. I only had my mom there, and the whole scenario, laying on your back, the fetal distress, given the Pitocin, given this, given that, and then it resulted in a C-section. Okay, all praises, we got through. But when I finally became repented and joined IUIC, Mother Parya, Mother Shamara, Mother Nayama, and a whole bunch of Mother Zoriel, a whole bunch of other women was already doing doula work. I had someone come to the hospital to bring me food. They was constantly asking, could they be there with me during my birth? But since I was having a C-section, only my Lord was able to be there. But after the birth, they was there at my home. They was there to clean up. During my pregnancy, Mama Shamara helped me unpack my whole house because I had just moved. So this is work of the Lord, okay? So I don't want anybody to get it twisted like this is a new thing. This is going back or just converting to another stage of our repentance. Okay, so this is work of the Lord. This is work that we need to do to love our sister as we love ourselves, love our brother as we love ourselves. Somebody being there at the house, at the hospital, at the birthing center, just to remind us. If I had somebody there to remind me, you know what, you could just stand up. Mom, do you want to stand up? Your heart rate, the baby's heart rate is going down. What if you switch positions? A lot of times all you have to do is switch a position and the heart rate will go back up. Now, and I don't want anybody to think that we're taking away anybody's experience of having a C-section, because some were great. Some are extremely necessary. There's a lot of us dying in childbirth, even during natural births, so if a C-section is necessary, have a C-section, but there are also things that you can know when you are going in to have a C-section. Even if you decide to plan a C-section and you don't want to do the natural route, a doula is still essential. Okay, there's still things that a doula can teach you and support you in the hospital while having a C-section. So don't be ashamed of your own birthing story, okay? But the knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Just information like putting in a birth plan saying, doctors, I don't want you to talk about non-essential stuff while I'm having a C-section. Doctors will sit there and talk about having vacation with what Johnny is about to do at school and all this stuff going on while you're having a C-section. You can say, I don't want non-essential conversations going on. You can say, I would like for you to play, Michael Jackson. My that's why I said Michael Jackson, because my OB played Michael Jackson during my last pregnancy, during my last delivery. So you can have music played, okay? You can make sure you request skin to skin, right after your delivery. So a doula is still necessary during a C-section. So I do not want you all to think we are advocating any way of having a baby. Of course, the natural way would be the best way, rather than having this major surgeries. A C-section is still major surgery, just not trying to take away from anybody's experience, okay? So sometimes it's still necessary. If you decided to have a natural birth at home and it resulted in a C-section and you are still alive and your baby is still alive, all praises to the Most High. Y'all made it through. You get to go home with your baby. That's where we're at now in 2020, okay? So I don't have long for you all today. I just want to give a shout out to all of our foremothers that was before us doing this work. I want to give a shout out to Mother Nayama, Mother Shamara, Mother Parya for showing us in IUIC how it has always been done for the last 30 years amongst that organization. And I want to give a shout out to all the sisters that's on this panel with me right now that had the courage to get up and take this course, because it is, and for understanding that it is work of the Lord. Okay, if you all do not have any other questions, we can end this chat. I believe Sister Shauna from Bahamas had her hand raised. If you have a question, just please let me know. And Sister Anna also have their hand raised. Please let me know if you have a question. Also, the doulas are growing amongst IUIC. We have someone in the Bahamas that is about to go through her training. We have 2 people in Trinidad that are about to go to their training, and it's just going to get bigger. Once Mama Parya give me the okay, we have something exciting to present to the sisters in IUIC amongst the doulas. So we're just waiting for that. And other than that, we would like to say shalom. You could contact me on cocofresh.com. Right now, I am a virtual doula, so I'm doing birth plans. I will help you get ready for your birth. We could sit down on Zoom or in home, and I can empower you of all the questions to ask, all the things to think about, everything that you need to know and beyond during your birth and also postpartum. So if you cannot, especially because of COVID, can have somebody actually at your birth, or if you're in another country, or if you are in an area or just don't want another person in your home or at the hospital with you, if you just want your husband, I can help you and your husband have a very empowering birth. I don't want to say and successful. As long as you come out alive, as long as your baby comes out alive, however it happened, it's successful, okay? So you can contact me on cocofresh.com. It was such a pleasure to go through this journey with you all. I'm looking forward to new and exciting things. Thank you again for all the attendees that joined in. I love you all and see you next Friday. Shalom, shalom. Okay. Happy prepping.